Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Game Club, the game where we, the hosts, and you, the community, play a game together. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpear.
Hello.
And Musum.
Hey.
This month we're talking about Stardew Valley, burgeoning problem of mine, Stardew Valley. Let's get through all the details here before we get started to talk about the game itself. Stardew Valley was first released on PC February 26th, 2017, developed and published by Concerned Ape, aka Eric Barone, or Baroni, not sure. Came out on PC, OS X, Linux, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PS Vita, iOS, and Android. Time Travel Metacritic 87, OpenCritic 90. Appears for the release date Firewatch. Go play Firewatch. It's really good.
Yes, it is.
This list is really funny because 3 out of the 5 are old Game Club games. Unravel also came out during that month. Street Fighter V, The Flame in the Flood, let's say classic Game Club game, and Super Hot.
The most innovative first-person shooter I've played in years.
There you go. I'm going to let you say it. I always take that one from you.
Yeah, you always steal it because this is the way.
You're just going to make yourself cough.
Fine by me.
The question we ask every month, top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked? I think this one is probably a really easy answer. Top of the pile.
Yes.
I feel like this one came out and immediately everyone was like, Game of the Century! Yeah, this is the best game ever! Which we're recording right now the day after the new Animal Crossing for Switch came out, so we're sort of seeing that cycle return.
Yep,
again.
begin anew.
Yeah.
It's evidently a very starved market.
Yes, yeah. Let's talk about the game itself, but first, let's talk about the platforms we played on. I'm playing on PS4. Moon, how about you?
Xbox One.
And Musum?
Switch.
There we go.
Yay! Full strike again.
Yeah. All right. Who wants to go first with Stardew Valley?
Oh, do you guys want to go first? Because I put way too many hours into this.
Okay.
Go ahead, Musum.
I was about to say, I just have to admit something before we start.
Absolutely.
I know we were supposed to do the first year, but because of reality, I only got to the middle of the fall. I was hoping to get farther, but the other wrinkle I had in playing the game, aside from reality, is my wife started playing it and became addicted to it. So it was, like she even has it on her phone now, and the whole time she's kind of angry that she's playing it, but she is completely addicted to it.
Put this game down. I am halfway through year 4.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it really bit me as pretty much as hard as I thought it was going to, and I think the thing that I was trying to figure out as I was playing it is like why it grabbed me so much, and I think there's kind of 3 sides to it for me.
Just before we do that, while we're getting into the how much we've played it kind of thing.
Please.
So I loaded this up on the Xbox now, having already sunk a whole bunch of time into this game. I started a new save file because I was like, I'm just going to start it new because there's an achievement for getting the happy farmer ending and there's an achievement for the corporation ending.
Yes.
So I may or may not have put 20 hours into my new, 20 to 30 hours into my new save file. My old save file is 83 hours.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, so...
And kind of upon seeing me play the game, my wife was like, I really like Stardew, and it's been so long since I've played it.
Whoops.
And a friend of ours, also has the game, but she kind of bounced off it. But that's right, the multiplayer patch came out, so...
Yeah, for anyone that's listening to this sort of down the road, we're playing version 1.4, which for consoles was like the big multiplayer update. So you do co-op, you have like multiple different farms you can do, where like this one's in the forest, this one has like 4 lakes in it for fishing, and this one's super spooky and monsters will attack you and stuff like that.
My wife may or may not have jumped in with And
that's cool, though.
Now they've probably put like 40 hours into it this week alone.
Yeah.
And then another friend of ours, Charlie, started playing it too.
It is a good time for Stardew Valley to
be. Credit where it's due. Fully posted up on social media and was like, it's times like this where Stardew has been the great relief during all of the incredible poop show that's going on right now.
Yeah. And I think that's part of what I've really enjoyed about Stardew is I think there's like three major facets of what makes Stardew Valley so appealing for me. I think one, sort of like going from smallest to largest, I like the day-to-day management. The early on when you're watering your crops by hand, and then you get like this cross-shaped one, and this one can do 8 sort of spots around your sprinkler. I like the management of I'm going to say hi to all my critters. I'm going to pick up all the truffles and say hi to my fishes and all that stuff. Like there's this day-to-day routine that I really appreciate.
Yep.
I think one of the smartest things that Concerned Ape did in designing this game is the community center, because you have not just a long-term goal, but you're having this multiple-year goal where you're trying to do a little bit every season where it's like, oh, okay, cool, now I know, that's the fall bundle. Okay, so now I need to gather.
It's also, as well, it's split by what you can do. So it's like, this is the fall crops bundle, this is the spring crops bundle, and this is the fall fishing one. It's just like, oh no, there's like so much.
There's so much. And I think that's cool because I think the day-to-day management of the farm is really satisfying, but knowing that I'm working on, all right, so next season is fall, so I have to catch X number of these fish, but I'm also looking out for like yellow star quality of these crops and these foraging things, which my skills are all sort of tying into as I'm leveling all this stuff up. Like there's this really satisfying loop of, well, I got all this stuff done, and I activated these mine carts. What does that mean? Oh, now I can just zip around the town in virtually no time. So now I can get more stuff done. And it's just this self-feeding system. And I think for me, I'm going to say this without any irony or sarcasm. I think these games are super satisfying for our generation, especially millennials, because it shows that with a lot of hard work and a little bit of gumption, you can make a solid living and a nice life in a quiet town. And for our generation,
because let's face it, that was the American dream. The American dream was always buy a house.
Yep.
And then that came true for the generation and generation before us.
Yep. And work hard and you get all this stuff.
And then for our generation,
it's been a lot of like
basically banished.
Right. It's like work hard and get none of that. Just the hard
50 cents an hour more.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I think there's some sort of fantasy living, sort of vicarious living through Stardew Valley that I sort of appreciate. But I think for me, one of the most successful things in this game is I know the Jojo Mart stuff, if you go with the evil playthrough, let's call it, that stuff has something very similar. But there's something about rebuilding this community center and like going for these long-term goals that I think is really, really, really satisfying.
Yeah, and just a quick throw in, like, I'm assuming we all played single player here.
Yeah.
Based on watching and joining in and helping with her farm, the amount of difference having multiple people there is huge, because everybody who starts gets a startup package. So I mean, you can say, okay, let's divide this land in a cross, and we'll have these different sections or whatever. But if you're all working together, like, you get everyone gets the starter package, so everyone gets those 18 turnip seeds, which you take the 18 turnip seeds and you times that by 4, and then that farm is immediately a lot better off.
Right. Do you share money?
You do. There's actually an option in the multiplayer in the options where you can pool your money together or split it between all of you.
I should play this with my wife. I think she'd really.
There may or may not have been a backpacking incident where my wife bought a backpack and basically made everyone else broke.
Whoops.
Which is funny because I'm the one doing the mining, and she's like, "I'm going to buy a backpack." It's like, I could really do it with backpack. I
do really have to say, I do like. I'm like 60 hours into this on my PS4, and I started it on my Switch just to see, number one, how that controlled, and number two, what the beginning experience is like that again, to sort of refresh my memory. And man, more games need to do this. I really appreciated the skip intro option where it dumps you on your farm. You have the seeds in your inventory, and it's just like, hey, if you skip to this is your place. You know how to play this. Like, let's just go. Like, it's just a 30-second thing. Go nuts. And I really, really appreciate this instead of, I'm going to move to the farm. My grandpa wrote me a letter. And it's like, yeah, okay. I went through this once. I get it. I'm good.
So does PS4 or Xbox have local multiplayer?
I don't know about local.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
The Xbox was all online. Yeah, there's been a lot. Like, it seemed to struggle with 4 people, but I can't tell if that's the game struggling with 4 people or M's incredibly terrible connection. Sorry, M, it's true.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But also, the week that we record this / the week that we've been trying to play this game as a multiplayer group is also the week when the internet provider's like, yo, everyone is using their internet now.
Right.
Things are going to be slow.
Right. Please send help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, Switch is definitely, it doesn't have local co-op. Susie and I were looking into that, and, we'd have to get another Switch. So,
sure.
But I feel like between this and then one of our friends being obsessed with Animal Crossing, we're going to wind up getting another Switch at some point.
Yeah. I mean, it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
Yep. But no, I mean, you pretty much summed up a lot of things I love about the game. Like, the funny thing is, like, I don't know if you know this, Musim, or even you, Boston. You probably do because you're insane and you do a bunch of research. But the guy who made the game, actually, basically, he only started making it because he loved Harvest Moon games, and there hadn't been a Harvest Moon game in so long that he was just like, I'm just going to make it.
Yeah. Everyone loves these games. I love them. They're not going to make any more, so I'll do it.
Yep. Yeah, no, I got the audiobook for Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, which has a wonderful chapter on it.
Yeah,
highly recommended.
Right.
And he's a millionaire and still drives a car with a door that doesn't open.
Right. Yeah.
Gosh. Which, that tickles me every time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, good on him. Like, the game, like, I don't know how much work it took, but he took all of the core things about the old Harvest Moon games and even the Rune Factory games. He took all of that stuff, and I hate to say it, but he did them better in a lot of cases. Lot of cases.
Well, and he sort of had the experience. I feel like the majority of us who've played Harvest Moon played the Super NES one. And a lot less buttons, input, a lot weaker of a system. Your farm was way smaller. The
GameCube version was garbage. I think there was an N64 one that was kind of fine, but not great. But like, your farm in Stardew Valley is huge. Especially if you're just playing with one person, like, it's just massive, and the town is really huge. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits of just time, where it's like, all right, what's the expectation of, it feels so satisfying getting those iridium sprinklers, where it's like, you come out and there's just blocks of 24 crops that are just automatically watered every morning. It's just like, yeah, that's my farm. Look at this. Yeah.
I did that.
Because you put the effort in and you put the time in and stuff like that. But I mean, even like the quality of life stuff, like, it's got a villager list. It tells you what your relationship is with each villager. On the map, it tells you when shops are closed and when they are open, so you don't
where people live.
Yeah,
it even
so
tells
you don't
you what,
waste precious time going there
remembers what
and then
people
knocking on
like.
the door.
Yeah. One one place for improvement I wish it had, and this, I don't know if this is different on the other systems, but I really dislike the inventory management versus donating to the community center, because the amount of times I've walked over there and not brought the correct item to donate is very large.
Yeah, like it's sitting in a chest at home, and it's like, I have to hoof it all the way back over there to go get it. Yeah. I agree. I think one of my other complaints about the game is combat in general is
super
fine.
simple.
Yeah, like it's okay. Like I sort of wish. I feel like most of my complaints, it's functional. It works okay. You know, the weapon upgrade paths are very clear. Like this one is clearly more powerful than this one. Armor feels like it was never kind of a thing, which I guess makes sense. You're a farmer. But I kind of wish that there was less delay between attacking and moving. Like it sort of felt like you had to finish that animation and then kind of take a half-second pause and then you could move. As opposed to, that left me a lot of times like backing an enemy into a corner and then just going swipe, like just trying to stun lock them and hope for the best.
I use the ones with knockback, and it's just like knock them back every single time, and I'm fine.
Yeah. And not super satisfying. Mina, who's on Pup with Musum and I, was talking about Rune Factory 4 Special on Switch, saying that that's one benefit of Rune Factory over something like Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon, where
they put so much effort into the combat.
Yeah, like every facet of the game has so much investment in it from a development standpoint. Obviously, because they probably have a much larger team than one. Now I think Stardew Valley has like 5 people on it, 4 or 5, as of patch 1.4. But like it's still not, here's a 100-person Japanese development company. The game is definitely impressive based on it's this one guy working for 8-10 years on it, something like that. Yeah. Especially with him doing all of the art and all of the music, all of which is really good. I don't have a track that I hear and I'm like, ugh, here we go again. It's like, yeah, man, banjos. Let's do it. I'm going to town. All right.
I'm pretty sure one of the heart events, I can't remember who it is, but one of the heart events uses like a banjo cover of Earth Angel, which makes me laugh.
That's really good. I don't know if I ran into that.
I think I heard that. I think it started playing and I'm like, is that Earth Angel?
Right. Did he do that?
Who'd you guys marry?
New save file, nobody. Old save file, Abigail.
Okay. I did Leah. So I played as a woman, and I married Leah.
Oh, cool. I'm not to the marriage point yet, but I'm 6 out of 10 stars with Penny.
Okay, the school teacher?
No, Penny's the redhead that lives in the trailer.
Oh,
isn't that her name? Penny?
She's Pam's daughter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm working on building a house for Pam right now. Just need like $100,000 more, and I can build a house for Pam.
Oh my gosh, you guys are way farther.
Well, it's funny because I did all the upgrades for my house, so I have like the giant basement that I can have all these casks in. And
that would be my number one suggestion. Like pro tip, if you listen to this and decide it's something you're interested in, go for the artisanal goods. So get yourself some casks.
Yes.
Get yourself
make some jellies and some wines.
Make some jellies, some wines.
Yeah.
If you get into the artisanal goods market, you're looking a lot better off than you would be normally with just standard crops.
And here's a pro tip. If you get the foraging upgrade where everything you pick up foraging
doubles.
Is iridium quality, your pigs, the truffles they pick up, are all iridium quality. So I'm making 1,500 gold per one, and some days they drop 4. And it's real good. But when I upgraded my house completely, I was like, oh, I should go back and talk to the carpenter lady, to see what she has now. And she's like, I go and talk to her, and there's like a community upgrade option. I was like, oh, cool. Like I can continue to upgrade my community that I like so much. And she's like, oh, you want to build a house for Pam? That's really nice. 500,000 gold and 495 or 950 lumber. And it's like, well, the lumber is not a problem because I have like 5,000 of that. That's that's not an issue. But the 500,000 gold, that's I gotta save up for that. yeah, little bit more.
Just so much I love about the game. Like,
we haven't even talked about all the villagers and like all the heart events. Like,
yeah, I mean that's number one. You can do daily quests from the notice board in town to get a little bit of extra gold. Which at the start of the game, those things make huge difference.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 gold for catching 2 fish. I can do that.
Or kill 5 times and get 1,000 gold. It's like, right. Okay, that's fine.
Floor 5, let's go.
That's like nine sets of crops on my field, so I'm good. Yep. I'm not going to say play the game with a wiki, because that's when you get a deep dive. That's when you get an Elite Dangerous into Stardew Valley, and it's best to not start that way.
I didn't pull up the wiki for anything other than bundles until about year 3, because I wanted to just kind of make mistakes and discover it, where it's like, let me kind of... Musum and I had a really good chat a couple weeks ago, because Musum, you were hesitant to start the game in the wrong way, because a lot of these games are like, oh, you didn't do this thing in like year 1, well, sorry, it never comes back again. But Stardew Valley...
The XCOM problem.
Yeah. Stardew Valley, especially as of version 1.4, you can't really miss anything. And if you do, it's like so minor that you don't really care about it. So I was sort of excited to kind of make the mistakes and kind of learn from like, oh, I should have been doing that for months. Okay. Or like, oh, I missed this thing in winter and it just turned spring. Oh, okay. Well, all right. I'll wait for another year for that to happen.
The renewable crops are like the ones that renew themselves. Like expensive, worth it at the start of a season, because it's like, oh, I'm just going to plant thousands of tomatoes on like fall 1.
Yes.
And then great.
I mean,
like, go ahead.
I was about to say, my plan for year 2 is for the fall and summer. I think it's corn that lasts through both seasons and is renewable.
Yep.
Just get a ridiculous amount of that and go for it.
And corn can be turned into whiskey, I believe, using the casks. You can turn it into alcohol, which sells for a whole lot more.
And honey can be turned into mead, which sells for a lot.
I just got awarded
likes booze.
Yeah.
Just got awarded a beehive.
Nice.
By the way, speaking of the character events, so like Penny's events so far has mostly been like her being like, she seems kind of like a depressed person.
Yeah, she's looking after her mother. Like that's her whole story. Is my mother's a mess, and I'm kind of taking care of everybody.
Yeah.
So one of the events is you walk in the trailer, and she's in there cleaning and tells you so, and then you're like, oh, I'll help. So then you start helping her cleaning, and then her mom comes home drunk and chews her out for having company and cleaning up. And you think it's going to be like the stereotype mean drunk mom scene, and you leave, and then the mom turns to her and says, look, I appreciate you cleaning, just, maybe don't get the nice boy over there to help. I'm really embarrassed by this.
Right.
Which was a nice warm turnside to a character who's been fairly rude to me the whole game.
Yeah.
She's rude to everybody. There is something that you do which will increase your relationship with her, which is related to the community goals. So the things in the community center. But everyone feels so unique. Like when we're talking about the villages, everybody feels unique. Like, Penny's got the drunk mother. Abigail's dad is Pierre, I think, who works in the shop. It's not Pam, it's the lady who's got like 5 kids and her husband is a soldier who suddenly shows up in year 2. Yeah. It's just like, wait, what? Who are you? You're new to the town.
Yeah, Jody and Sam?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a cool touch.
Yeah, like he comes shows up and he's like, hey, deployed. I came back from service.
Yeah. He's like, yo, I heard you were new in town, so I figured I'd come and introduce myself. It's like, okay, I was hitting on Jody the entire time you were away, but sure, welcome back home, brother.
There was a really interesting interaction between Maru and Demetrius, where like Demetrius is sort of self-conscious because he's Maru's stepdad, and he feels like he's not really up to the task, but he really wants to help Maru be as interested in science as he is, and the more you're friends with Maru, the more he's sort of like, hey, maybe don't distract her from her studies and her duties if you're getting my drift. And it's sort of like, okay, interesting, yeah. And I looked up in the wiki, you have an opportunity to tell Maru that Demetrius is being really weird, and it improves your relationship with Maru, but sort of affects your relationship with Demetrius. And he apologizes, but he sort of remembers it for a little bit.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I think the thing that is so interesting to me about the writing is, even though there are so many different characters that are so interesting and sort of all fit not really a stereotype, but like, here's the goth lady, and here's the artist lady, and here's the carpenter, and here's all these people. They all feel, none of them feel written in a way that feels insulting to anybody that might be playing the game. It's not like, oh, here's the goth lady, and it's sort of this like, oh man, isn't she weird? It's just like, no, she's just, that's kind of who she is. And even like the weird person in town, Emily, who's sort of into all this spiritual stuff.
No. The weird person in town is the wizard, dude. It's the
wizard is definitely weird. Especially when you
get high?
No, especially when he has you go check out his ex-wife's place, and he's sort of like, does it look like anyone lived there? No, don't answer me. I don't want to know. And it's like, okay, weird wizard. But like even Emily, who's like supposed to be this like spiritual kind of out there flighty sort of person, like that just, none of it ever feels mean. It's just sort of like, this is who she is, and if you find her weird, that's fine, but Concerned Ape didn't write it like, look at this weirdo. It's just like, yeah, that's who she is.
Yeah, is it her or is it Penny who's trying to teach the kids? Like, because the town doesn't have a school.
Kids. Yeah.
So like, you can walk in and see her giving them lessons. You can go into the town hall or whatever it is and see everybody doing gym workouts and stuff like that too.
Whenever the town was empty, and I was like, wait, the town is empty, it's Tuesday, I bet they're in Pierre's, and I bet they're just doing the workout. It's like, okay, well now I'm not going to get any business done on Tuesday. All right, that's fine. But like, I like that the town is alive enough that it's like, yeah, here's the workout day. It's Tuesdays, everybody's in Pierre's, so I can't talk to Marnie and get more hay. I can't go talk to the carpenter lady. Like, the town sort of shuts down, and I think everybody meets in the saloon on Friday nights. Like, there's cool stuff, not to mention all the events that happens.
I mean, you said as well, talking about the wizard and his ex-wife, like even all of the townsmen or townspeople have interpersonal relationships that do not depend on you,
like Lewis and Marnie. Cough, cough.
Yeah, and Clint is really into yeah, and it's like, it's really cool to see these things develop. And then of course you've got Goth Boy Sebastian, who's walking around at nighttime.
Yeah. Did you ever
literally one of the only characters who walks around in the rain, by the way?
Yes. Did you ever go into Clint's bedroom and read the note that he has on his floor?
I don't think I did, no.
He wrote a note to Emily that says, it's something like, I found these gems and I wanted to write this letter because I think they're as lovely as you are, but I will definitely throw this letter on the floor, on the floor of my room, because I'm too chicken to give it to you. It's just like, okay. Because there's also a quest in the game where he wants you to give her like a topaz or something and say it's from Clint. And she basically says like, oh, that's really nice. See you later. It's like, you didn't get it. Okay, that's fine. Stardew Valley is really good.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this is now a problem for you, Boston.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I definitely did not buy this on my phone. That is a hard line I am setting.
No, wait there, because you've said you've definitely not done something before and 100% done it. I'm not sure if this is real or B.
Tune in next week. That's also the reason I bought it and started playing it on the PS4, because I have like a one non-movable location where I can just play the game there. Also, it has trophies, which I think is really great. I'll never get the platinum because it's mean.
You've only got to do everything in the game, Boston.
I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with playing the Legend of the Prairie King without dying and finishing.
Oh God, yeah.
That's mean. But I think part of the way to like manage my playtime of this game, that's not a problem for me overall. Like I'm still managing my life. It's not like I'm up until 4 a.m. and waking back up at 6 to play more. Is I like having that one static location to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one interesting thing about the phone version, just something Susie told me when she downloaded hers, you don't have to select the correct tool. It just does that part for you.
Interesting. That's a smart way of doing that.
So, and I don't know necessarily how that translates to all aspects of the game.
Sure.
I know she's had some frustrations with the interface because you have to touch the screen, so you're not able to see part of the screen.
Right.
But it sounded like they made some smart improvements.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, did she pick this up having watched you start to play it?
So she watched me play it, then she started a game on my Switch, and then she realized that I still had to play it for this podcast.
Right.
So she bought it on her phone.
Gotcha. I really have to give him and his team a lot of credit for managing to. It makes sense. Like, you want this game on Switch. You want this game on as many platforms as possible. Vita doesn't get updates anymore, but that's fine because it runs fine on there. But like, managing to get this on mobile phones and mobile devices, I think is a really, really smart move, because that you can probably get. I think it's only like $7. It's very reasonably priced. I think that's a really smart move.
Literally on everything as well.
Yep.
Like, it's ridiculous. Shall we talk actually really quick about the art style? Because this is a pixel art game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel trite in the way a lot of pixel art games feel. It could also be because this actually came out like 5 years ago or whatever it is now.
It has a lot of character to it.
Yeah, like the design feels so great. I love the stupid imps who live in the community center. Yeah. I love the fact that if you get a cat or a dog, they actually act differently. The cat and the dog act differently.
Yep.
Like, the cat will sleep on the bottom of the bed where your feet go. Also, it does that cat thing where it just splays itself out in like a starfish thing with its face lying down.
Yeah, I love it. Does like the flat cat thing, where it's just like, oh, is my cat okay? No, it's just asleep in the field.
So,
go ahead.
Sorry. I was just say, quick note about the dog. I almost didn't go to sleep one night because he was sleeping right where I needed to enter the bed, and had a very difficult time convincing him to leave. It was actually like I wound up pushing him into the bed, and I think it finally let me in there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. Like, there's so much. Like, the art style is great. It's very unique in the way everything looks.
Yep. Everything is animated really well, and it to the point where it's like, it's incredible that there's so many little touches in this game. Like, when you complete a bundle in the community center, like, this big banner comes across, and there's a little hot air balloon that flows up, and then like the bundle seals, and then like a bunch of flower petals trickle down. Like, there's all this really little stuff that really works well.
So my favorite bit of the animations is one I didn't expect any of these games to have is, you'll walk onto a screen and maybe the wind will blow and you'll see all the grass tiles freaking move with it, It is such a cool feeling. And like, you get up on some days and, oh, look, it's fall and leaves are falling from the ground, or it's spring and there's rose petals or whatever the heck those red things are. And like, there's lots of really good attention to detail. Like, in picking up the pixels, I think it said the guy redid the artwork something like 3 or 4 times as he got better at it through the 4 or 5 years it took to make it. And
it was Indie Game the Movie is a good example of that. There's specifically where they're talking to Phil Fish, and he's like, look, I made all this artwork a year ago, in that year, I have done so much more practicing there. I've got so much better that now I have to go back to the beginning and do it all again. But by the time I've done it all again, it's 6 months have passed and I'm 6 months better. So I go back to the beginning and redo it all again. It's like,
there's a really interesting, if you look at the character pages on the Stardew Valley official wiki, a lot of them will have like the portraits of the characters throughout the versions, where it's like, here's alpha and beta and 1.0, and it's like it tweaked all these. It still looks the same character, but like hairstyles change, hair colors change, and like the style changes a little bit, and it gets a little bit closer over the years to, here's the 1.0 version, here's the character you know in the game. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley is really good. And it's really, especially for me, it's very kid-friendly. My kid likes looking at... my cat's name is Miso. She always wants to see Miso the cat. And it's very pause-friendly. I can pause. The only thing you can't pause is when you're fishing, and that's okay. It's really great.
Oh,
I'm terrible at the fishing.
It gets way easier as you level up.
Everybody is terrible at it first. Take some time. If you invest in a better rod from Willie, when your fishing is level 3, I think you can get a better rod from him. It gets so much easier when
your bar gets
because
bigger.
It moves. The bar gets bigger. It moves slower as well. Yeah. It forces the higher end fish to move slower too. Yeah. So that does change.
Yeah.
Well, and like I don't think caught a fish until this last fall event that they just did, where you put like your goods on display and they have a fishing contest, and that's the first time in the game I've caught a fish. But then again, I haven't spent a lot of time because like it gave me the recipe for sprinklers, and then I just started attacking the mine.
Yeah, so that's you want to start making that. You get your automation up.
It's been a lot of farming and mine, and right now I'm hoping to save up and get the chicken coop finally. But
but like. One last thing for me, because we could just probably talk about like for 2 more hours. I think the upgrading each one of your tools feels significant. Like getting from one level to another, where it's like, oh, it takes me half the number of swings to fell a tree, but most importantly, instead of just watering or hitting one tile with the hoe, I can now hit 3 or 5 if I hold the button down. That just starts getting bigger. Yeah, like you get so much more efficient as you upgrade stuff, which feels so much better.
It uses less stamina as well. Like as you're doing it more and more, it uses less stamina too. And I love the fact that you can actually upgrade your stamina. Like if you win certain events, if you make it to level 100 in the mines, you get the star fruit, which increases your energy. It's like, thank you. I needed that because I'm tired of being exhausted at 2 p.m. and going to the hot springs, which they definitely patched the hot springs. Because you used to go into the hot springs. I don't know if it would have happened for you yet, Musen, but there's an earthquake one night. And on the way to the mine... Yeah, on the way to the mine, there's the train station. There's a building next to the train station that's a hot springs. And you can go in, and if you go into the whichever side of the gender you are, you go in that one. And you can go into the hot springs. And it used to be like... It used to be about 4 hours to top up your energy from dead to full.
Oh, wow.
And now it's literally an hour in-game, to go from empty to full. So I just go do a whole bunch of mining, do all my water and whatever. Like then it's like into the hot springs, get the energy, go to the mine.
Right.
Into the hot springs, go fishing. Like that doubles everything you can do in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that the hot springs on my own, and I eventually looked up like Googled, why is this hot springs here? I don't understand what it does. And it told me, and that has been my routine, is get up, do all the farming bits, go to town, donate everything that I need to or buy what I need to, go to the hot springs, replenish, and then go do whatever other activity I'm going to do.
The only thing in the game I had to Google was how to feed your animals, because it definitely does not make sense early on, where it's like, I need to go hit this thing that has a bunch of hay coming out of it, and then this trough-looking thing is the stuff where you have to put the hay. It's like, oh, okay. Now I know why all my animals weren't happy. I have to say hi to all of them every day, and I need to make sure that, which you can automate later, feeding them and collecting their stuff. But that was the only thing I had to Google where it didn't immediately make sense in the interface, but everything else was good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's I will say playing this game like has made me, because I like it and I enjoy it. It's not a game that I'm necessarily excited to play, but it's a game that I can see myself just going, I have a few minutes here, I'll play a day.
Yeah.
But it also, like, I'm with video games in particular, I'm very aesthetic based. So part of me wonders if you put like the Final Fantasy aesthetic on it, like Rune Factory 4, would I suddenly be like frothing at the mouth, addicted to something like this?
Right. Yeah.
And I can't decide on that, but like if I grew mechs, like that would be a.
If you grew Gundam figurines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would take over my life at that point and be, no, I designed this mech with this tree and this plant, and
all I've been playing this month is Gundam Valley. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, any final thoughts here for Stardew Valley?
It's great.
Go play it. I think almost anyone will enjoy this game.
I mean, you can get $10 or $15 most of the time. Like, I think for me, it was my first game of this type. I've never played any other game like it. The only game I know to even try to compare it to is like SimCity or something like that, where you're making a city, and that's the closest thing. And I know this is a big, well, I guess not a big genre. I guess there are 5 or 6 games in this genre.
Right.
But there's very avid fans, and I think it's worth it to give it a try and branch out. It's a nice zen game once you let go of the stress that I had of, oh crap, is this a persona where I'm going to miss out on this social link if I don't do this at this time?
Yeah, like you don't have to worry about being perfect or catching everything or whatever. Like it all comes back.
The game just infinitely goes and will let you retry any of the stuff you didn't get where you wanted to on it. It sounds like so.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our next.
Rune Factory.
Yeah, I'll probably buy Rune Factory 4 special at some point.
I need to avoid it. Yeah. I need to avoid it because it's one of those games where it's like, okay, I loved Rune Factory way back when on the Game Boy Color. Adored it at that point. And it was like, well, there's a new one coming out soon. I'm just lucky that as far as I'm aware, don't correct me on this, as far as I'm aware, it's only coming out on platforms I either don't want to play it on or very infrequently play.
It's only a Switch game, period.
Oh, thank goodness, because I don't own a Switch. My wife does, but I don't.
Perfect. Yeah, you're safe. Until Game Club 2021. No. All right, let's talk about our next game with the only vote on Patreon this time. There's a lot of stuff going on, so I don't understand why.
I didn't even realize it had gone up to me enough, otherwise I would have voted.
Yeah,
hopefully whoever's listening, is getting some
really dark.
Form of relief from.
That's super dark.
Yeah. Hopefully you're getting some form of relief for us joking around and talking about a game, even though the world is anything but normal right now.
Yeah, trying to keep it light here in Stardew Valley. Yeah. Our very next game is Poi, P-O-I. Come out on PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. This was a Moonpeer recommendation from a couple of years ago.
This is the platformer action, potentially Zelda-like game.
Yeah, like the action-y Zelda thing. That it's a really cute blue sky game that I thought looked super cool, and I'm hoping that this will be. I know nothing else about it other than it looks cool and it looks action-y. So it's sort of a change here for us.
Thank you, Giant Bomb, again.
Yeah, thank you, Giant Bomb Quick Looks. The best source for our game club list.
5-year-old games.
Yeah. So we'll be playing Poi, P-O-I, for our next game. And thank you very much, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.